Discover the inspiring, heartwarming story of a grandmother's amazing 30-day transformation. In the quiet town of Elmwood, a spirited woman named Grandma Mary was about to embark on a journey that would turn her life upside down. Once the dazzling life of every gathering, the 68-year-old widow felt the weight of loneliness pressing down on her like an anchor. Her modest home echoed with whispered memories, laughter of children that had since flown the nest, leaving her feeling more like a shadow than the vibrant matriarch she once was. One dreary afternoon, while munching on leftover apple pie, she found herself thumbing through the local newspaper. Among the mundane articles, a colorful flyer caught her eye, a community fitness program promising connections and transformation. Her heart raced at the thought, would this be her chance to reclaim the spark that life had dimmed? As she clutched the flyer, a wave of nostalgia washed over her. "Come on, Mary, do it for yourself," she whispered, summoning the courage that had once helped her manage a beloved bakery through thick and thin. That simple act was the first step on what would become a transformative adventure, a decision that, unbeknownst to her, would ripple through her family as well. The first day at the fitness center was daunting. Mary could feel the eyes of younger participants, but those gazes quickly turned warm as they welcomed her into their circle. With each fit of laughter and rush of endorphins, she started to rediscover herself, inching closer to the vivacious woman she had been. Here, among old friends and fresh faces, she found not just respite from loneliness, but also a newfound strength pulsating within her. Yet, tensely, she sensed the widening chasm between her and her son. Michael, once so eager for his mother's warm hugs, now felt like a distant star. He was busy with his own life, weighed down by financial struggles and daily challenges. And Mary, in her own corner of heartbreak, wanted so desperately to share her journey, to invite him back into the warmth of family. But how could she reach out when her heart felt so heavy? Then, like a storm brewing on the horizon, Elmwood was struck an unexpected tempest. The winds howled as trees bent like mere blades of grass. Homes began to shake, glass shattered, and fear swept through the community like a wildfire. But, just as suddenly, Mary sprang into action. In the face of crisis, her training from the fitness program transformed her into a beacon of hope. She organized relief efforts, inspiring neighbors to come together. With every shout of encouragement, with each acknowledgement of hard work and resilience, she felt the warmth of community igniting in her once quiet heart. And slowly, she caught a glimpse of Michael again, his worried face now illuminated by awe and admiration. Could this be the moment for healing? At the close of that chaotic day, Mary found herself at the kitchen table, just like old times, where sweet scents of baked goods danced in the air and laughter bounced off the walls. Yet, the table now felt heavier, burdened with unspoken words between mother and son. "Mom, you've changed," he finally said, his voice cracking with emotion. A spark of hope flickered. Could they mend the fractured ties? Could Mary embrace her new identity not just as a mother, but as a woman empowered by resilience and community? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but as laughter clashed with underlying tension, the question lingered: would they find the words to bridge the gap? Would Grandma Mary elevate her family back into the light? The night hummed with possibility, leaving the air thick with anticipation. The next morning, the sun poured through the kitchen window, casting a golden hue over the remnants of last night's gathering. Grandma Mary stirred her cup of coffee, her mind racing with emotions. Michael's words echoed in her ears: "Mom, you've changed." What exactly did that mean? It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. She caught herself smiling as she recalled their laughter, but the tension still weighed on her heart. With determination stirring within her, Mary decided today would be different. She wanted to reclaim the bond they had shared, to reignite that warmth that made her heart swell with pride and affection. After breakfast, she put on her favorite sweater and headed out into the crisp morning air. The fitness center was buzzing with energy as she walked in. Among her new friends, she found encouragement. They cheered her forward, reminding her that this new version of herself was not a mask but a revelation. Every little step of progress was monumental now, and she soaked in every ounce of positivity that surrounded her. With each workout, Mary not only got stronger physically but also emotionally. She found herself laughing more freely, engaging earnestly with the others, and cultivating new friendships. There was Sarah, a retiree who had taken to painting, and Lisa, a single mother juggling work and children. They shared stories of their trials, triumphs, and laughter, forging a bond that warmed Mary's heart, yet, in the back of her mind, thoughts of Michael persisted. At dinner that evening, she set an extra plate at the table, even if the invitation felt tentative. "I thought we could have a family dinner," she said brightly, even as her voice wobbled slightly. She just wanted him to know he was always welcome. When Michael came home, he looked weary, his face drawn tight with the worries of adult life. But when he entered the warm space, filled with the scents of rosemary chicken and baked potatoes, something in his expression softened. The tension in the room lightened just a bit as they exchanged small talk about the day. "Smells amazing," he muttered, glancing at the table. "Just like old times," Mary replied, attempting to brush aside the emotional undercurrent. They exchanged smiles but also shared glances that were filled with unsaid words. As they sat down to eat, she felt her heart thumping loudly. It was time to connect. "I've joined a fitness program," she ventured. "It's been life-changing." Michael paused mid-bite, setting his fork down. "Really? You're serious?" His eyes glimmered with surprise and pride. "Yeah. It's more than just exercise, it's about community and growth," Mary explained, warmth creeping into her voice. "I want to share it with you. I want you back in my life, Michael. I miss you." For a moment, silence reigned. Mary's heart raced, hope fluttering wildly inside her. Would he understand? Would he allow the door to open up just a bit? He let out a slow breath, his features softening. "I miss you too, Mom." His voice shook as he continued, "It feels like we lost each other for a while." Tears pricked her eyes. They were so close, yet still felt miles apart. But in that moment, she realized they were charting a new path, a path away from the shadows and toward light. "Maybe we could go to the gym together?" she suggested, folding her hands, feeling decidedly more hopeful. Michael's smile broke the remnants of tension that were still lingering. "That'd be nice. I could use the exercise." They shared laughter, the kind that erupted from genuine connection. The air felt lighter, infused with renewed hope, yet, while the evening ended with laughter and memories, questions bubbled just beneath the surface for Mary. With every step she took towards healing her relationship with Michael, could she also face the ghosts of the past? Her heart pounded with excitement but also trepidation. What else might she uncover about herself and her family as they walked this path together? Little did she know, the next challenge would come swiftly and unexpectedly, demanding more than she ever anticipated. The next day dawned bright and fresh, filled with the promise of new beginnings. Mary woke up with a flutter of excitement in her chest. She would finally go to the gym with Michael. It felt like a small victory, but it was monumental in her heart. She spent extra time fixing her hair and putting on her favorite athletic wear. She wanted to look good, not just for him, but for herself. When they arrived at the gym, the air buzzed with motivation. Michael stepped in beside her, looking a bit uncertain. "You really like this place, huh?" he asked, glancing around at the crowd of sweating bodies pushing themselves to their limits. "It's not just about the workouts," Mary replied, her eyes lighting up. "It's about finding my spark again. And I want you to share in that." They started with a simple routine, a blend of stretching and light cardio. As they moved, Mary caught Michael throwing glances at the monitors showcasing various exercises. He seemed hesitant, unsure of his own ability. "Just take it at your own pace," she encouraged, sensing his hesitation. Through the haze of pumping beats and chatter, they began to find a rhythm together. Mary's laughter blended with Michael's hesitant smiles as they tried to push each other to do more. At one point, he challenged her to a race on the treadmill. Her heart raced not just from the activity but from the thrill of connecting with him. "Still think you can beat me?" she teased, her lungs burning as she picked up the pace. He laughed, his competitive spirit igniting. Bring it on. As Mary sprinted forward, she felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. She glanced sideways and saw Michael's determination solidifying. For those few moments, the world outside faded. It was just them in their bubble, a mother and son forging a new bond, stronger than before. After the workout, they collapsed on a nearby bench, panting, but they were both smiling. Not bad for our first time, Mary said, glorying in the sweat that now glistened on their foreheads, a testament to their hard work. Yeah, I feel good, Michael replied. His face shone with a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Can we do this again? Absolutely. She exclaimed, unable to suppress the thrill surging through her. On their way home, the conversation flowed easily, like it once had. They reminisced about their childhood memories, laughing over silly moments from family vacations to quiet evenings spent playing board games. But beneath the laughter, Mary sensed a deeper current running through them both. There were still things left unsaid, shadows lingering in the back of her mind. As she entered their home, a tingling sense of joy was interrupted by a sudden ringing of her phone. The familiar name flashed across the screen: her sister, Clara. They hadn't talked in a while. Mary hesitated for a moment. Would the conversation be comforting or heavy with unspoken expectations? With a deep breath, she accepted the call. Hey, Clara, she said, trying to keep her tone light despite the apprehension that twisted in her stomach. Mary, I heard about your new fitness routine. I'm glad to see you're doing something for yourself, Clara replied, but there was an edge in her tone that sparked Mary's curiosity. Thanks. It really has been a game changer for me, Mary said, glancing at Michael, who had settled down on the couch, watching her intently. I wanted to talk about Thanksgiving. Clara's voice faded slightly. The weight of family gatherings reverberated in her tone. Mary felt her chest tighten. Sure, she replied cautiously. But before Clara could respond, a flurry of emotions washed over Mary: dread, excitement, the thrill of change, and the anxiety of confronting past hurts. What was Clara going to say? Would this call derail her newfound bond with Michael? As Clara began to speak again, Mary braced herself for what was coming, knowing that whatever it was could shift the fragile balance she had begun to build. Could this be the moment when everything would change? Are you there? Clara's voice broke through Mary's thoughts, pulling her back to the present. Yeah, I'm here, Mary replied, her heart rate picking up. She could feel Michael's gaze on her, a mixture of curiosity and concern written on his face. I'm thinking we should have Thanksgiving at my place this year, Clara said, her tone uncertain but steady. Mary stiffened. Hosting Thanksgiving at Clara's house usually came with a flurry of unspoken tension, unresolved conflict simmering beneath the surface. Oh. Really? She replied, trying to mask her reaction. Yeah. I thought it would be nice to have everyone together again. You, me, Mom, Clara trailed off, the implication heavy in the air. Mary felt the familiar knot in her stomach tighten. Are you sure that's what everyone wants? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe it's time we talk openly, Mary. We've all been distant for too long, Clara said, a hint of pleading creeping into her voice. Mary's eyes flicked to Michael, who was now biting his lip, as if he could sense the undercurrents swirling between the two sisters. Could it be that she'd finally have a chance to put things right with Clara? Still, the thought of confronting their past scared her. Okay, Mary said, the word tasting bittersweet on her tongue. I'll come. But I need to know we can have a real conversation. I'm not interested in pretending everything's okay anymore. Agreed, Clara said, her tone a bit more assured. Let us work through things together. As the call ended, the moment hung thick with uncertainty. Mary felt a mix of emotions: fear, hope, and something close to relief. But what if things didn't go as planned? What if it all fell apart again? Everything okay? Michael asked, his voice gentle as he shifted closer, concern clear in his eyes. Yeah, just family stuff, Mary replied, forcing a smile. I'll figure it out. Do you want to talk about it? He offered that in that moment, Mary realized how much Michael had stepped up for her. He was no longer just her son, he was her anchor. No matter how tangled her past was, she could always count on him to keep her steady. I'll be fine. Let us focus on what we can change right now, she said, determination lifting her spirit. We have a gym schedule to stick to. Michael's face brightened. You're right. Tomorrow's workout let us make it even better. They made plans to wake up early and tackle a new regimen. The thought brought a smile to Mary's face. She could almost feel those old patterns shifting beneath her. The gym was more than just exercise, it was a safe space to build something new, something real between them. Later that evening, as they prepared dinner together, a sense of normalcy enveloped them. The aroma of garlic and spices filled the kitchen as they chopped and stirred, laughter echoing off the walls. For a moment, the worry about Thanksgiving faded, replaced by the warmth between them. But deep down, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that Thanksgiving might just be the turning point in her family dynamics. It was a chance for healing, but also a risk she had to take. Standing together at the sink, the last remnants of dinner being washed away, Michael turned to her. You've really changed, Mom. I see it more in you every day. Feeling proud yet vulnerable, Mary smiled softly. Let us just say I'm still finding my way. Good, Michael said with conviction. And you're not alone in that, you know? As they stood together in that moment, an undeniable bond surged between them, frayed edges beginning to knit back together. Yet, as the evening quieted, a thought lingered in Mary's mind. What if not everyone was ready to change? What if Thanksgiving unearthed more than just family discussions? Those questions murmured in the back of her mind, the stakes feeling higher than ever. Could she really face it all head on? And would Michael be there by her side through it all? As the night deepened, the kitchen was bathed in the soft glow of the overhead light. Mary caught herself gazing out the window, the darkness settling in like a familiar quilt, heavy and comforting yet suffocating at the same time. Outside, the wind rustled through the branches, a sharp reminder that change was always in the air. Hey, what are you thinking? You look a million miles away, Michael said gently, breaking her reverie. She turned to him, fighting the urge to share her worries. Just thinking about Thanksgiving, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Think it'll go bad? He asked, his brow furrowing in concern. Mary sighed, scrubbing the last dish a bit harder than necessary. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be said. It could either go really well or, well, we know how it could go. Michael crossed his arms, leaning back against the counter. I think it'll be fine. Clara's trying. That's gotta mean something, right? His faith filled her with warmth, but also uncertainty. What if Clara wasn't ready for the weight of their history? What if the air crackled with unresolved resentments, igniting a firestorm of old wounds? Maybe. But it's been years since we've had an honest conversation, Mary replied, her voice wavering. What if the moment we sit down, everything just unravels? Then you deal with it. Just like you've been doing, Michael said, his tone gentler now. You've been taking charge of your life, Mom. It's not easy, but you're not the same person you were. His words felt like a cool breeze on a hot day. She smiled, gratitude swelling in her chest. I just want to do right by you and Clara. I want the family to feel whole again. A sudden thought bubbled to the surface, an insight she hadn't acknowledged until now. Maybe looking for that perfect moment is holding me back. Maybe it's about embracing the chaos too. Michael shrugged. Could be. Sometimes, things don't need to be perfect to be good. Mary nodded, reassured that she had Michael by her side. He had always been the one to ground her. You're right, kiddo. I guess I'm just scared. Scared is good, he said, his face lighting up. It means you care. And I'll be right behind you, no matter what. They finished cleaning up the kitchen, the warmth of the evening settled in every corner as they swapped stories of mundane moments between bites of leftover dinner. Later that night, as Mary nestled into her bed, she couldn't shake the heaviness of what was to come. She wanted to believe in the possibility of healing. She wanted to trust Clara, and herself, enough to embrace the vulnerability that lay ahead. With a sigh, she turned off the lamp. The darkness enveloped her, but with it came a flicker of hope. What if they could finally untangle the mess of old grievances? What if Thanksgiving could be the bridge back to each other? As sleep tugged at her eyelids, she felt a rush of determination pulse through her. She would be brave this time. The next morning, sunlight streamed in through the curtains, awakening her to a new day, filled with possibilities. She glanced at her phone and saw a text from Clara. "Can we meet a little earlier before Thanksgiving? I'd like to talk." Mary's heart raced. This was the moment, the first stepping stone toward reconciliation. She took a deep breath, savoring this chance. What new revelations would arise from that conversation? Would Clara be ready to break open the walls they'd built? Mary knew one thing for sure: there was no turning back now. Mary's pulse quickened as she stared at the text. Her mind raced with possibilities and the weight of all the years gone by. Clara wanted to talk. They'd spent so long wrapped in silence, tiptoeing around one another like delicate porcelain. Now, a crack had formed in that wall of distance, and she couldn't ignore it. She quickly typed a response, trying to keep her unsteady hands from blurring the words. "Sure, what time?" It was a simple reply, but she felt the tremor of hope infused in those few words. After a moment, Clara replied, "How about 10? Just us." The morning passed in a blur as Mary moved through her routine, each task pulling her deeper into her thoughts. She prepared breakfast for Michael, but he noticed her distraction. "You good, Mom?" he asked, concern knitting his brows once more. "Just a little nervous about the talk with Clara," she admitted, turning away as she wiped her hands on a dish towel. "Don't stress. Focus on the positive," he encouraged, brightening the mood with an infectious smile. Mary forced a smile back, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Still, she nodded, reassured by his unwavering support. When the clock struck 10, she felt her heart race anew. Clara would be arriving any moment. She glanced at her reflection in the hallway mirror, trying to steady her nerves. Airy breaths in, shaky breaths out. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into uncharted waters. At precisely 10:02, the doorbell rang. That sound echoed in her ears, laced with anticipation and fear. Taking one last deep breath, she opened the door. Clara stood there, looking anxious yet resolute. The last time they had been this close was too long ago to remember, and for a fleeting moment, Mary felt the weight of all those years come crashing over her. "Hi, Mom," Clara said softly, her eyes searching Mary's face for something acceptance, perhaps. "Hi, Clara. Come in." They settled in the living room, a space that had been filled with laughter and warmth but now felt heavier, more charged. Clara sat down, then shifted nervously, glancing around the room like she hadn't fully entered yet. Mary broke the silence first. "You wanted to talk?" Clara nodded slowly. "Yeah. I've been thinking, a lot actually. About us." Mary felt a lump form in her throat. This was at the moment they had both been waiting for. "I know everything hasn't been easy. I've missed you so much," Clara continued, her voice wavering. "I just want us to be able to communicate without all that anger hanging between us." The vulnerability in Clara's words was like a breath of fresh air. Mary's heart softened. "I've missed you too, Clara. I want to understand how we got to this point." Tears welled in Clara's eyes. "I sometimes felt unworthy. Like no matter what I did, I could never reach you." With every confession, a piece of long-buried truth surfaced: pain, regret, love, all demanding their say. Mary leaned in, feeling an urge to bridge that final distance. "We're both to blame, but I never meant for you to feel that way." For the first time in years, they were honest. Words flowed like a river seeking a way forward, the dam breaking, the honesty washing over them both. And as they spoke, hand in hand, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that this was merely the beginning of their unraveling, the exciting, terrifying journey ahead, a chance to rebuild together. As they concluded their conversation, Clara's hand still enveloped in Mary's, the air shifted around them. What had started as tension melted into something hopeful. "Mom, do you think we can really fix this?" Clara's voice was small yet hopeful. Mary squeezed her daughter's hand, feeling a flicker of warmth spread through her. "I really believe we can. Together." But before Mary could fully grasp their newly opened path, the door suddenly swung open. Michael stood there, eyes wide. "You won't believe who just pulled up." The uncertainty came rushing back. Who could it be now? The moment of truth was evolving, and they were all standing at the precipice once more. "Who?" Mary and Clara asked simultaneously. Apprehension thick in the air. "Dad." Mary's heart plummeted. What did this mean for their hard-won moment? The past was about to collide with their fragile present in an unexpected way. Would they be ready for the next chapter? Mary's breath caught in her throat. The word "Dad" lingered, hanging heavy in the air. She turned to Clara, who looked as though she'd been struck by lightning. It was almost like she could feel the past rushing back to envelop them both, the memories of broken promises and unhealed wounds flaring back to life. "Mom, maybe we should just not open the door," Clara whispered, anxiety twisting her features. Mary's thoughts sprinted through a dozen scenarios. Part of her wanted to slam the door shut, to seal them back into their fragile bubble of honesty. But the other part, a more stubborn part, one that had fought in silence for too long, prompted her to confront whatever was waiting outside. "What if he wants to talk?" she said quietly, unsure of her own words. "He deserves that, doesn't he?" Clara's disbelief was palpable. "Deserves that? After everything? We've just started fixing things between us." Mary felt her heart race again. Their fragile moment of connection hung precariously between them and the looming presence of the past. "Maybe it's also a step we need to take. It's time to face the truth," Mary said, her voice steadier than she felt. She looked into Clara's puzzled eyes, seeing that old hurt reflected back at her. "Not just for us, but for him too." With a heavy heart, she walked to the door, every step an echo of her uncertainty. The door loomed larger as she approached, and her hand hovered for a moment before finally gripping the handle. A soft sigh slipped from her lips as she turned the knob and pulled it open. There he stood, Frank, his expression a mix of hope and trepidation. His hair had grayed around the temples, and the years had pressed their weight into the creases on his face. Despite everything, he looked familiar, grounding her in memories that floated near the surface, memories tinged with both love and regret. "Mary." Frank started, his voice unsteady. "Why are you here?" Mary asked, interrupting him as if to shield herself from both his laments and her own emotions. "I came to see you. I know things have been complicated, but I want to be a part of our lives again." "I missed you, missed both of you," he said, shifting his gaze to Clara, who stood at a distance, arms crossed and scowling. Mary felt Clara's unease radiate through the room. Every instinct in her wanted to protect her daughter, to shield her from any more pain. Yet another part of her had to confront the reality of their fractured family. "Clara," Mary said softly, beckoning her closer. "This is important. We need to hear him out." "No," Clara replied, standing firm. "We don't." The tension in the air was palpable, but Mary felt a shift within her, a need to face this moment. We can't keep pretending he doesn't exist. If we're rebuilding, we have to confront what broke us too." Frank's eyes softened as he heard the fissures of pain in her voice. He stepped forward. "I never meant to hurt either of you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to try to make it right. But you left us." Clara's voice shook, both from anger and vulnerability. Mary sensed the storm brewing within Clara. "I know," she replied, her heart breaking for her daughter. "But maybe this is a part of how we heal. It won't be easy, but we can't change the past by burying it." The silence stretched out, thick with unspoken words and memories that begged to be acknowledged. Mary's heart drummed in her chest as she prepared for the potential fallout of this moment, and then, right when it felt like the ground would give way beneath them, Michael piped up again, his innocence cutting through the tension like a hot knife. "Can we just sit down and talk like normal people? No shouting, just words." His comment drifted into the charged atmosphere, prompting a flicker of lightness amid the uncertainty. They all looked at each other, 3 generations standing on the precipice of a new beginning. Could they take that leap together? Mary took a step forward. "All right, let us talk." In that moment, she felt a veil lifting, a sense of courage emerging. As they awkwardly settled inside the soft light of the living room, the air crackled with tension and possibility. What truths would be unearthed in this confrontation with the past? And could their newly forged path withstand the weight of everything still unresolved? Tension swirled as Frank breathed in deeply, ready to speak again. But just as he began, the shrill ring of Mary's phone pierced the air, pulling their attention elsewhere once more. Could it be a sign? More unanswered questions in a time when they'd finally begun to address the heart of it all. The air thickened with anticipation and dread. Who could be calling now? Would this be another chance at healing, or yet another disruption pulling them apart? Mary's phone echoed through the room, a jarring reminder that life had a way of intruding at the most inopportune moments. The tension shifted, eyes darting. It was as if the world outside was clamoring in, demanding attention while they stood on the edge of a fragile reunion. "Are you going to answer that?" Clara's voice was tight, frayed by the emotional storm swirling around them. The look she shot at Frank said more than words ever could. Mary hesitated, the phone still ringing in her hand. It might be important," she murmured, conflicted. The thought of taking a step away from this moment filled her with dread. Yet, there was also a flicker of duty, something that might need her right now. "Just answer it, Mom," Clara pressed, her impatience bubbling to the surface. "We can't keep kicking the past away just to avoid it. Just do what feels right." Taking a deep breath, Mary tapped the screen. "Hello? Mary, it's Laura," her sister's voice crackled with urgency, a chilling contrast to the warmth currently brewing in the room. "I know it's been a while, but you need to come by. It's about Dad." A knot formed in Mary's stomach. The mention of their father brought with it a rush of memories, complicated feelings that made her head spin. What happened? Is he okay? He's not well. It's serious. "I really think you should come," Laura urged, the gravity in her tone sinking like a stone in Mary's heart. Mary's eyes glanced toward Frank, who stood there, his expression frozen between hope and concern. Clara's arms remained crossed, but the tension in her face softened slightly with the revelation. "I can't just leave." Mary's voice trembled, caught within the whirlwind of emotions. "Mom, go," Clara said, the insistence in her tone cutting through the thick air. "Family needs you. What can we say to him that's going to change things? If it's your dad, you should go." Mary locked eyes with Frank. I want to talk. But I need to see him too." Frank nodded slowly, understanding etched across his features. "Family matters, Mary. I understand. This could be key for you. You should go." The decision settled heavily on her shoulders. A flood of worry mixed with an undercurrent of hope rushed through her. "Okay," Mary finally breathed, her heart echoing a promise to herself. "I'll go. But can we continue this afterward? I want to make sure we're addressing all of it." "Of course," Frank said, his voice steady, even as anguish flickered in his eyes. Mary quickly grabbed her things, still feeling the weight of Clara's gaze on her. She leaned down, cupping her daughter's face gently in her hands. "I'll be back soon, I promise. Please hang in there for a bit longer." Clara sighed, vulnerability cracking through her hardened exterior. Just come back and talk to us, okay? We need to figure this out together." With a nod, Mary turned and left, the door closing behind her not just on the room, but on a moment that hung by a thread. As she drove toward her sister's house, Mary's heart raced. Would facing her father at this moment unearth more wounds? Or could it bring the healing they all so desperately needed? Arriving at her childhood home, the familiar creak in the floor and smell of baked goods wafting in the air tugged on her heartstrings. With each step towards the living room, Mary felt the weight of the past pressing down again, but she also felt determination rising within her. The moment of truth loomed ahead. One knock would open a door to confront not just her father, but everything that had come before. What awaited her on the other side? Would this be the conversation that shattered defenses or one that finally put them back together? As Mary lifted her hand to knock, a voice broke the silence behind her, sending another wave of shock through her body. Mary. Wait. Whose voice was it? And what new twist was about to unfold in the tangled story of their family? Mary paused, her hand hovering in midair. The voice, familiar yet unexpected, sent a wave of confusion and anticipation rippling through her. She turned, heart pounding that it was James, her older brother. His face looked worn, shadows under his eyes suggesting sleepless nights. He hadn't looked at her this much in years. Mary, I didn't expect you to come, he said, his voice edged with surprise and warmth wrapped in hesitation. James, she breathed, her chest tightening. I thought you were in California. He shrugged, shifting from one foot to the other. Came back for Dad. Figured it was time. His gaze dropped to the floor, as if the weight of their shared history pressed down on him, too. Mary felt a rush of emotions, swirling like a storm within her. Years of distance and silence molded their bond into something fragile. Seeing him there terrified her. We need to talk, right? James nodded slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, but later? She interrupted, glancing towards the front door. The reality of their father loomed heavy in the air, casting shadows on their past grievances. Right. James let out a sigh laced with unease, but his expression softened. Promise me you'll come in, okay? We need to face this together. She hesitated, the memories of childhood days mingling with the scars of their fractured relationship. But Clara's words echoed in her mind, family needs you. Nodding, Mary stepped forward. The warmth of the familiar home wrapped around her like a blanket, yet it felt different. The walls held decades of laughter and fights, of loves lost and unspoken words. Inside, the living room was dim, the curtains drawn tight against the afternoon sun. The smell of cinnamon and slightly burnt cookies wafted from the kitchen, pulling her back to simpler times with both siblings gathered around the table. Mary could feel her pulse quickening as she approached their father's room, James stepping up beside her. It's okay. I'm here. He placed a reassuring hand on her back. Before they entered, they exchanged helpless glances, each aware of the emotional minefield they were walking into. Would he remember them? Would he even want to? Let us just do this, Mary whispered, her voice barely above a breath. With a shared nod, they pushed open the door. Her father lay frail in bed, his face drawn but peaceful, a stark contrast to the man who once filled the room with laughter. Mary's heart twisted. The ache of what they had lost hung in the air like a threadbare tapestry. Dad? She ventured softly, taking a step closer, his eyes fluttered open, confusion melting into recognition. Mary? His voice cracked, but a spark of something hope. Joy? Flickered across his face. The room shifted, tension melting into a strange sense of warmth, yet uncertainty loomed. He was still their father, but he was also someone who had left them bruised. Yeah, it's me, she managed, her voice breaking like the years of silence between them. I came to see you. Tears stung her eyes as she watched him take in her presence. She needed this. They all did. But just as that glimmer of connection started to grow, the silence fell heavy again, pressing hard against them. What would they say? What could they say to bridge years of hurt and misunderstandings? Then, from deep within the shadows, a voice crackled through the air. Where's Laura? I need to talk to her, too. The simple mention of their sister unsettled the fragile moment, and Mary's chest tightened. This time, it wasn't just about them. The family web was far more tangled than she had imagined. What did Laura know that they didn't? And why did it feel like this was just the beginning of a conversation none of them were truly prepared for? As Mary stood frozen in the doorway, her father's voice reverberating against the walls, she felt the breath snatched from her lungs. The warmth she had begun to feel began to dim under layers of unresolved tension. "Dad," she started, testing the waters of their careworn relationship, "I'm here. Can we talk?" His eyes brightened, even in their fragile state. "I've missed you all," he murmured, the weight of 1,000 unspoken apologies lurking beneath his words. But Mary felt Clara's presence pressing heavily on her heart, urging her to be vigilant. This moment was rife with opportunity, but also drenched in risk. I need to talk to you about why you left," she managed, her voice trembling. As the words tumbled out, a cascade of bitter memories threatened to drown her spirit. Frank's gaze sank, shame flooding his features. "I know I failed you," he said. "I never wanted to leave you in such pain, but then why did you?" Clara stepped forward, her voice a mix of anger and hurt. "You vanished. You left us broken." "Clara, please," Mary interjected gently, fearing the hurricane of emotions would derail their progress. "Let him speak." Frank swallowed hard, his voice shaking. "It wasn't just you. I was struggling too, lost within myself. I thought distancing myself would ease your pain. I was wrong." He paused, tears welling in his eyes. "I thought it was the best choice for you. But you know where that left us." Clara shot back. "You left Mom heartbroken, you left me and James to pick up the pieces. It felt like we didn't matter." "Clara, please," Mary whispered, needing to keep the fragile bridge they were building intact. She turned back to her father, her own emotions bubbling over. "We are here now, Dad. But we need you to understand the weight of your choices." Just then, James stepped in, voice steady yet sorrowful. "All that time, we wondered if you cared. If you'd even think about us. Do you have any idea how that felt?" Frank's anguish was palpable, cutting through the air like a knife. "I can't change the past, but I want to make things right now. I want to be part of your lives again." The room sizzled with energy as they all stood on the precipice of forgiveness, a place that had felt so distant. Mary felt tears slip down her cheeks, but she steadied herself. "If we're going to rebuild, it needs to start with honesty, no more running from the hard conversations." "Agreed," James said, extending his hand toward Mary as if offering her comfort. Mary smiled through her tears, sensing a tentative unity that had long been absent. "Let us start from here, Dad." But just as hope began to illuminate the room, the past came crashing back. "Can we talk to Laura?" Frank interjected, his voice vulnerable yet persistent. "I need her to know I care, too." Mary took a deep breath. This was another layer to their tangled history, a threshold they needed to cross as a family. "We'll call her," she replied, her heart racing with the anticipation of what might unfold. As they settled into an uneasy but necessary silence, the walls between them cracked just enough to let some light through. Mary felt a rush of resilience buoying her spirit. They were finally talking. They were finally trying to understand each other. Moments later, as Clara's phone buzzed, she lifted it nervously. The screen glowed with Laura's name, illuminating both hope and apprehension. "Should I?" Clara hesitated, glancing around the room at each face prepared to cross this new bridge. "Yes," Mary affirmed, anticipation surging through her. "Let us do this together." As Clara connected the call, the air thickened with anticipation. When Laura picked up, her voice resonated through the room. "Mary? Everybody? What is going on?" "This may be big," Mary started, glancing at her siblings, nodding in unison. "We all need to talk." The conversation spiraled into what felt like a sprawling web, voices intertwined with stories, sorrows, and warmth of healing. Together they faced confession and vulnerability, each discovering their own threads of resilience, healing everything from the past that had pulled them apart. That moment, satin ribbons of connection tightened between them, crafting a new beginning as they embraced the uncertainty of their past. The room filled with laughter, tears, and renewed purpose. As they transitioned from sorrow to vulnerability, Mary understood. Transformation wasn't just about personal growth, it was about family forgiveness, reconnecting with love and unwavering support. As that evening turned to night, they realized that life's chaotic moments could transform into light and connection. Each sibling learned that the struggle they endured forged a bond that mattered. Together they were evolving, becoming the family they always deserved to be. This was their starting point, the first step into the light after years in the shadows. Mary felt every ounce of connection hum in her heart. Despite the fears of the unknown, she knew the journey ahead had endless possibilities. And so, as uncertainty wrapped around them, they walked bravely into this new chapter, the open door inviting them to embrace the uncertainties while cherishing the memories, promising each other that this time, they would face everything as one family. And now, to all of you cheering them on from the sidelines, this is the moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it makes a world of difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, we want to hear your thoughts. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of your support.